Hello and welcome to another episode. So I am now in Norway. If you're a regular viewer, you'll probably recognize my background. It's my bedroom in Norway, where my parents got here 2 days ago, Monday. It's Wednesday today. Yes, it's Wednesday. So today I thought I'd share what I was knitting on the way here, what I'm knitting here. I ordered some new yarn that arrived here the same day I did, and I've already cast on something, so we'll talk about that. And then I also thought I'd chat a little bit about Game of Wool in this episode, unless I talk about it too much, and then I might edit it into a separate episode. We'll see. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through our website YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. So normally when I film here, I put my tripod on the windowsill and I sit on the edge of my bed, and normally the natural light is enough to give me a fairly good light. But it's sunny today, and the sun is just up in that corner, and I've had to close my curtain halfway. If I close it all the way, it'll be too dark in here. So I closed it halfway just so the sun's not straight in my eyes. But as you can see, it makes the lighting a bit weird, so I hope that's okay. So let's start with what I was knitting on the way here. So we got up at 1 in the morning, left just before 2, I think. Got to Stansted quite early, about 8, I think. I was worried if we left later, we'd end up in the rush hour on the M25, which is horrendous. So as we were driving through the night, I decided to pick up my knitting because it's just plain stocking stitch. So I thought I can do this in the car, and then I realized after about 20 or so stitches that my yarn had gotten wound around my needles, and somehow I'd managed to start knitting with like a loop about that size hanging at the back. And I realized that after about 20-30 stitches, and I started trying to unpick it, and I was like, I'm just going to mess this up, and I didn't want to turn the light on in the car, and I didn't bring my neck light. So I gave up and didn't knit. Simon drove the first half, and then I drove the second half. So when I left home, I was probably about halfway between where that yellow marker is and the where my needle is. So I knitted about half of that distance. At the airport on Monday, we had quite a few hours at the airport because we left earlier than we needed to, just because of rush hour traffic. We didn't want to get stuck in rush hour traffic on the M25, because then you can quickly add a couple of hours onto your journey time. So we didn't want to do that. So we ended up getting there quite early, so we had a bit too long at the airport really, but we found a comfy place in a pub, had breakfast, and I sat there knitting, and I got quite a lot on that hat done. I'm not even halfway. I was hoping to finish it this week, but since I got here, I knitted on that on Monday night, but on Tuesday my yarn that I'd ordered had arrived, so I cast on for something else. So I recently knitted a slipover with some yarn that I bought when I was here in May, and I knitted it when I was here in November. Well, I started it and then I finished it a couple of weeks ago, and I really, really like it. But mohair and silk is not my favorite fiber. It just sticks to everything. So I have worn it a few times and I really, really like it. So I decided last week I would knit another one in alpaca and silk. So this is from Rauma, which is a Norwegian yarn company. It's the alpaca silk, which I've used for 3-4 sweaters. 65% baby alpaca, 25% silk, 10% extra fine merino, 200 meters per 25 grams. So I'm holding it double. So, but then I also thought I have this sparkly yarn. Hang on, let me just left over from. I've used it for, well, I bought enough to use for a design for a sweater where I was holding it double with Monox Uruguay merino lace. And then I decided that I wanted lilac instead. So I bought the lilac and used that. So I had probably about 4, 5, 6 cones from that I hadn't used. Then I also used the same colour for my latest design for Knitting Magazine, which I had a video on my channel last week, I think it was, about that. And I held 2 strands double. Well, I wasn't sure how much I was going to use, so because the spreadsheet isn't that reliable when with thinner yarns. The spreadsheet I used to work at my yarn amounts. Anyway, I asked for too much, they sent me too much. I have quite a few of these now. So because I had 6, I think maybe, that I didn't use for my, or maybe it was 8, I can't remember. No, it must have been 4 or 6, I think, 4 or 5, I don't know. Anyway, I had a lot over that I bought for the sweater I was sending for me, and then I had a couple of 2 or 3 cones left over from the one for the Knitting Magazine. So I had loads of these. So I decided to take 4 of these with me. They have 375 meters per cone. So I have 4 of them. So 1,500 meters in total. So when I got here yesterday, I swatched. So the first half of this swatch is holding 2 strands of the alpaca silk together. And then top one is holding 1 strand of alpaca silk and 2 of the sequin yarn. The sequins are quite small, so I tried holding 1 together, but I didn't like that. So holding 1 strand of each together, I didn't like that. I also tried 1 strand with 2 strands of the alpaca silk, but that you couldn't really see the sequins. So you can see how the color is changing. It's more light blue here than here. So I decided to go for that, and I cast on. Luckily, it's the same tension as my slip over it I did in the pink mohair silk. So I can use the same pattern I wrote for that, which at the moment is just some notes on my phone. So I'm going to try and write that up properly while I'm here. So I cast on yesterday, and I did all that yesterday. So I cast on the top of the back. So I am quarter of the way, no, maybe nearly half the way to the underarm. I don't know. I think I've got to do 15 more rows, and then I can start the underarm increases. So I have enough of the alpaca silk to actually knit a sweater, because when I made the sweater from that yarn, I used 7 balls, and I have 8. For the holding 2 strands together for the slip over, I would need 7. To knit a sweater, just holding 1 strand of those, I would need 7. So I can do, and because I'm using just the alpaca silk and 2 strands of the sequin yarn, I'm assuming I will only need 4 for the slip over. So I do have enough of the alpaca silk to actually knit a sweater, but I don't think I've got enough of the sequin yarn. So I made knit a slip over, knit on the armhole edgings and stuff if I can finish it while I'm here, and then take the spare yarn home with me. And because I have more of the sequin yarn at home, I just didn't have room to pack anymore, but I do have more of it at home, so I could, when I get home, knit sleeves. But I do really like the slipovers. I'm not quite sure what to do yet, but I'll come back tomorrow and show you how much knitting I get done today. my little grey girl yarn advent so far. So this is day 1 to 12. So every other one is grey. So let's do the next few days. This will be going out on 16th. So this is the 13th. So another pink, but a little bit more purpley than the last pink. I do like that. So let me just string it on here as I'm opening it. I have to order all these, open all these ahead. So because of the fact that we're not going to be here for the rest of Advent. I do like that. 14. Oh, still on the greys. So we're gradually going into lighter greys now, which I like. I do like the fact that every other one is grey. Now, when it comes to knitting with a yarn advent, if you're not sure, I recommend waiting until the end. I know it's probably fun to knit something every day, but wait till the end because then you can see how all the colours work out. And the 15th. Oh, a little bit more purple. Let's move. I hope for a little bit more pinks before we move into the purples. But I do also really like that colour. So the last 3 colours have been perfect for me. And then this video will be going out on the 16th. So let's just grab the 16th to open that one as well. So 16. Oh, another grey. So again, a little bit lighter. It must be so difficult just to get like a sort of shade lighter basically every day or every other day for the greys. Some of them look very, very similar. But they are a little bit lighter. So day 1 to 16 of the little grey girl yarn advent. Okay, let's do the next 3 advents. Day 17. Oh, we're going more purple, which I thought we were. So last one was a grey one. So we're a little bit, it's not a massive difference from the, oh yeah, it's a little bit more purple. So let's pop this on here. It's starting to get a bit heavy now, but we are coming to the end. So let's just pop this one on here. And then we'll do day 18. Obviously, as I've said previously in Vlogmas, I'm doing this at home before I go to Norway. Day 18, grey, a little bit lighter. So let's pop that on, and then we'll do 19. And then I'll show you what they will look like. Ooh, moving into a bit of violet. I guess we're going towards blues. Maybe we'll finish with blues and greens, I'm not sure. So day 1 to 19, that is what it looks like now. And it's starting to feel quite heavy. Yes, I do really like this. It looks really nice. Quite excited about it. It is Thursday afternoon and I've left filming a little bit too late and I'm struggling a bit with the light in here. So I've come into the office or my parents' second spare bedroom, but the lighting here is not very good and I can't work out how to have the camera in relation to the light so that I'm actually in the light. Let's move this a bit, see if this works. Oh, maybe a little bit better. Anyway, you can see behind me that it's getting dark outside. It is 4:20. Sunset was an hour ago. And I thought I'd just come back very quickly to show you the progress on my sweater and just talk a little bit about Game of Wool. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I'm planning probably reaction video next week after the finale. And then I've got like a sort of my thoughts on the whole series that I'm kind of formulating. So when I filmed yesterday, I can't remember. I was here, so I finished the back to the underarm. So that includes like all the armhole shaping and stuff. So quite a lot of stitches by the end of it. And then I picked up stitches for the front last night and knitted both front sections. And last night I just managed to cast on for the front neck and knit half a row. And when I picked it up this afternoon, I realized that I twisted my stitches and stuff. So I ended up undoing that round or row and re-knitting it. So I'm hoping to finish to get to the underarm tonight, but we're going to spin class tonight as well in 2.5 hours. So not on a ton of knitting because we've been out all day. We've been at a shopping centre. Also popped into the yarn shop, had a look around. I didn't buy anything because I didn't really know what I wanted. I don't really have a lot of space in my luggage, so I'm not buying yarn unless I finish my projects and I need something to knit on while I'm here, or unless I see something really, really special. And we are going to Oslo tomorrow, so I am hoping that I will see have time to pop into a couple of yarn shops in Oslo tomorrow. That will be in the next Vlogmas video. So Simon wants to go to the Folk Museum, which is good because that'd be quite interesting. We haven't been there for a long time, but if somebody else goes to Oslo, and I don't think we'll have time to do that and go into the centre of Oslo. So I'm going to suggest we either do that tomorrow and then go in again next week and have a day in the city centre, or we do the city centre tomorrow and then go in next week for a day at the museum. But we'll see. It's supposed to be dry tomorrow, so I think it depends a bit on the weather because it's supposed to be dry but overcast, but today's been absolutely horrendous. So let's have a quick chat about Game of Wool before we finish. So I watched this in bits. I didn't watch it on Sunday night because we had to get up in the middle of the night to go to Norway. So I watched it at the airport, but I had problems with my Wi-Fi, so I had to use my phone hotspot to watch it, and got about halfway through and it just wouldn't work, so I gave up, and then I watched the rest when I got here on I watched the rest on Tuesday evening. So I watched it in two bits, which I don't think was ideal because you kind of forget what was happening. I also have some pictures where I'll show you on screen. The first challenge this time was the team challenge, which was a recycling challenge. So this felt a bit like a copy of what they do on the Sewing Bee, where they usually have a recycling challenge. I haven't watched the Sewing Bee for a while, but at least they used to have a sewing challenge. They wanted them to show innovative design skills, confident garment construction, perfect fit, and they had 10 hours. Holger and Lydia working together, and Isaac and Elsa worked together. And they were given an Aran sweater each. Now, I think the Aran sweaters were identical, and then they could add bits from the haberdashery. The idea was in recycling and reusing and creating something new. A dress fit for the catwalk was what they were the brief they were given. So Holger and Lydia, let me just get up the photographs so I can remember what they actually did. They used what looked like a patchwork blanket, like a wool blanket, possibly woven rather than knitted, for the main dress, and then they cut off I think it was the front and the back of the Aran sweater and gathered it at the cuffs, and Lydia knitted ribbed cuffs to pull them in for quite sort of voluminous, so it's called, big sort of puff sleeves. And they had like quite a wide collar, which I guess was from the Aran sweater. The ribs maybe they sewed on, I can't remember. And then they had some pieces from the Aran sweater, which possibly was the sleeves, but Lydia knitted loads of triangles for go days to give it a bit of shape. And then at the waist, they just pulled it in with a I-cord or knitted string of some sort. And at the back, it was pulled together with a little detail, tie detail, I-cord detail. It looked great on the model. The model kind of sachets down the catwalk, and it looked fantastic on the model. It looked absolutely awful on the dress form. So that's what it looked like on the dress form, the photos I found online. And it just looks dreadful. I mean, the lighting is pretty awful as well. But it just looks, I mean, that's a screenshot, so it's not the best quality. But it just looks awful. It looked a lot better on the model. I just loved Holger and Lydia's piece. They thought it was lovely piece. They liked the go days. And they thought the Aaron made a statement. That's what I've written down anyway. And if that makes sense, but that was definitely their favourite, and that came across. Now, there was a lot of discourse online afterwards about the fact that Holger is a designer, Savile Row designer, I think. So I guess menswear is his speciality. And Lydia, there was like comments, I can't remember exactly what Lydia said because I didn't react to it, but there were some comments that she'd made about the winning would give her opportunities in the yarn business with her indie dye yarn that she does with her sister, designing and maybe even presenting. And she made a joke about wanting to be the next Alison Hammond. Alison Hammond was originally on Big Brother many years ago, and then has gone on to present loads of TV programs. So she's been quite successful, and she even joked about co-hosting the next Game of Wool with Tom. I think this was just a joke between her and the crew, because, I mean, they've been filming together and working together for weeks now, and I just took it as a joke. A lot of people online seem to think that she was being really catty and a bit bitchy and a bit kind of too ambitious. And they were also saying that some of the comments that she was making about, some of that she made those comments, well, that's by people online making those comments about Holger doing like all the sewing up and her doing all the knitting. I don't know, both Holger and Lydia have come out afterwards saying that it was definitely a teamwork. They did the whole thing together and they played to their strengths. So Holger might feel that he's better at designing and sewing up, but he definitely said that Lydia was a fast knitter and that they did the bits that they were strongest at, which kind of makes sense. So I don't know, a lot of the stuff that people were saying online I thought was very unfair. And this is one of the problems by going on a reality show is you've got to be prepared for the criticism. And some of that can be brutal from people who either misunderstand what you say online, you may be misrepresented in the editing. And I did feel sorry for Lydia because some of the comments online were scathing after this episode, which I thought was a bit unfair. Each of the 4 contestants had a little sort of separate piece to camera where they talked about sort of more personal things. And Holger was saying that he had lost his job, I think, at the start of COVID, and then his dad had gotten ill, so he'd gone back to Germany to look after his dad, and now he's rebuilding his life after caring for his dad, which sounds very relatable to me, as I've been in Norway. It'll be a total of 97 days this year, looking after my parents. So I thought it was very personable. Makes you relate to them a bit more, I guess. Elsa was mainly stressing the fact they'd been a tough competition, and a lot of people seemed sad that she seems to have lost her confidence a bit. She's always come across as being quite reserved and fairly quiet, but maybe she seems to be doubting herself. But that could just be weeks of filming and quite a sort of tough schedule. I don't know whether these people are carrying on with their normal work. I don't know what kind of family situation she has. Does she have children? Does she work? I don't know by her personal situation, really. So it could just be that everything going on behind the scenes as well. I didn't write down what Isaac said in his personal thing to camera, so maybe, I don't know, maybe that didn't make an impact on me. Maybe it was when I was having internet problems at the airport. I don't know. Anyway, back to the dress. Isaac and Elsa did a halter neck. It was short at the front. longer at the back. They cut up the sweater. They used another sweater, which they used bits of to make a belt, and then they unraveled some of it to make like a collar for the dress and edgings and things like that. I actually thought their dress was really good. I thought it fitted the model better. I assume they were given the model's measurements beforehand, and I just thought it looked quite, I don't know, I liked it. I thought it looked better than the other one. I thought it made a bit more of a statement. Somebody was saying they thought that these Aran sweaters were the same, but in the pictures they're shared in this collage thing, Holger and Lydia's was a sweater, and the other one, Elsa and Isaac, was a cardigan. If that picture up there is correct, which I'll pop on the screen. Anyway, I like both of them. I thought Holger and Lydia's looked better on the model, but I thought with the brief that they were given, I actually thought Isaac and Elsa's looked more catwalky. But the judges didn't think it had enough impact and wow factor. They didn't think the finishing was good enough for a semi-final week. Second task was to make a handbag using recycled materials. And the judges emphasized the handles had to be sturdy and it had to be able to pass a 2 kilo weight test. Now, they had what looked like balls of wool, but I think they'd wound wool around weights because they were supposed to be 1 kilo each. Elsa made an active bag or gym bag from gym leggings. She cut up gym leggings. Judges liked that idea. They thought it was a good idea, gym leggings to gym bag, but it failed the weight test. It was too stretchy, way too stretchy. Lydia used wax print, sort of African print material, which was very colourful, and she knitted it into linen stitch. It must have been killing her hands, poor thing. That must have been so uncomfortable, but it did add a lot of structure, and she did like round handles. I think she crocheted around plastic circular handles, and it looked really good. And that was the bag that I actually preferred the look of. None of the bags really made me want to go out and make one, but Isaac was cutting up t-shirts, and he was spending a lot of time cutting up t-shirts. Time management is obviously one of his things that he needs to work on. He was wanting to make a mint humbug bag in memory of his grandmother. It was knitted. It was quite stretchy. He ran out of time. He was supposed to do a zip across the top, and he didn't have time to do that. And he also wanted these like lace wings on the side, if you like, when you have a sweet wrapped in paper, it's got those little flary bits at the side, colourful bits, and he wanted to do those in lace. Lace pattern that reminded him of his grandmother. He passed the weight test, but he didn't finish it. So he didn't do the lace bits and he didn't do the zip, so he didn't finish it. Holger made a festival bag, kind of crochet shell shape. It was a nice shape. I thought the colours were really boring. They were like brown and beige, which are not my colours at all, unfortunately. So I thought that was a bit boring, but it did pass the weight test. But it wasn't my favourite. My favourite out of the bags was definitely Lydia's. So I'm sure by now you've probably seen it if you're watching it, and if you're not, you probably don't care anyway. But Isaac was cast off. I mean, he didn't finish this individual challenge, so I guess that was fair enough. Holger won Big Knitter of the Week. A lot of people thought that Lydia should have won it, and that the reason Holger won it is because he's the judge's favourite. I don't know about that. I think both Lydia and Holger are very, very good, and I think they're both worthy winners. I think at the beginning, I should probably go back and say what I said in after episode 1, but I probably won't have time. But I think I said that I thought Holger, Lydia, and Elsa were the best knitters and probably had the best chance of winning. And I think a lot of people seem to want Lydia to win. I really like Holger. I don't know. Holger or Lydia are my favourites. Elsa seems like a really good knitter. There's a whole discourse online about whether this is a knitting contest, crochet contest, or a design contest. thought I'd talk about that in a whole separate episode because I have some views on that. But I think any of them would make a good winner. Holger has the most sheep badges, followed by Lydia. I think Elsa has one. So I guess it's between Holger and Lydia, but who knows? We'll see next week. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be back in a few days with some more from Norway. Hopefully I've got to the underarm on my slipover, and hopefully I'll have a bit to show you from Oslo, as long as it's not raining and too miserable tomorrow when we go. And don't forget to check out everything that's in the description box below. I'm teaching at the Stitch Festival in London in March. Those workshops are now up, ready to be booked. If you go to the workshop page, you can search my name, I think, and find my workshops quicker. And then I'm teaching on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think. Just booked my train ticket a couple of days ago, so I was waiting for the cheap train tickets to come out. Then I'm also teaching at Black Sheep Wool in January, March, and April. Some of those are booked up and some of them aren't. So do go and check that out. They're all listed below. And I'm also going to be at Unravel in February. So busy start of the year. Everything's linked below, so do go and check it out. If you haven't signed up to my newsletter, make sure you sign up to my newsletter. I'm currently trying to decide whether to do any special offers to end the year. My website is currently closed because I'm in Norway. There may be some special offers. I haven't decided yet. So do make sure you sign up to my newsletter. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And next time, I will remember to film while it's still daylight outside. Daytime hours now where I am in Oslo, just south of Oslo, is about 9:15 to about 3:15. So not a lot. And today on the weather forecast, there was 0% chance of sunshine. So it's been a bit of a miserable day, but it's supposed to get better for the weekend, so I hope so. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.